Good afternoon. It is January 8th, 2021, and here is what we are looking at for the day. It's a range day with a slight downward bias. I'm wondering if this trend line works better here. And it might, but let's leave it here because you could have gotten some really good moves if you played it that way. So as you can see, a slight downward bias. We just got a break in the past couple hours of this big trend, if this is correct. So one thing I want to say before I forget, I accidentally marked this low off these lows from yesterday afternoon, but it turned out to be an important low anyway. So the overnight low is actually about right here. And if you bring it up to get like a range of the lows to this second swing low right here, that turned out to be very important. Over here, prices started playing off that. Let's see. Didn't really come into play over here much, but just something to think about. So let's take a look at these trades. The first one I marked, and I didn't start marking them until after the open. I don't think I was looking at it this morning before the open. I'm on Pacific Standard Time, so open is at 6:30 a.m. First trade I marked was right here in this upward trend. We get a second entry long. First entry, second entry off the trend line, trend channel. You might be a little weary since we get this low and then prices don't quite make it up to the high, but I guess, you know what, scratch that, because oh yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, you might be wary because it doesn't make it to the top of this trend line, but I think you have plenty of room. So to the top of it, I just think this is a good entry. It's second entry long, good signal bar, probably some trapped shorts as well. Prices come up here, so that's the second swing where they didn't make it to the top of this trend line, and that leads to a break. So, now that I'm looking at this, you might look at this as a lower high, but I wouldn't do that just because we're in this upward trend. However, if you're looking at how this swing didn't make it to the top and this swing didn't make it to the top, you might go short beneath that, and you would have gotten a nice move. Anyways, we get this failed second entry long, first entry, second entry. I really like that signal bar. It's off the opening price, and it's off the EMA, and it's a failed second entry long. So good move there. Good first scalp. Now we get a failed second entry short here off these lows, first entry, second entry. And you know, these three bars right here, this looks like a trap. So if you go long above this higher low, I wouldn't blame you for that, and I think if I was watching in real time, I would really be tempted to do that. But anyway, you go here, you might have a trend line drawn above these highs. So if you have your trend line off of these closes, it would be up here, and you would have more space to scalp out to. Just something to think about. Anyway, we bounce off the trend line. So why you might ask, wouldn't you take this second entry long right here? And honestly, if I was looking at this in real time, I'm still like a beginner. I think I've been doing this for like 6 months now. This is tempting, but look at that. That's congestion. Let me draw that for you. It's congestion. You don't want to take these second entries in congestion. And really, you might argue that's congestion starting from over here because of these overlapping bars. So why don't I do that? Okay, do you see how all these bars are overlapping? That's congestion. This one's kind of a doji. It has a big stick above it, candle wick above it, and it has a big candle wick below it. So that's one reason why you might not take that. So people probably got trapped above, going long above that, and there's kind of just like a battle going on, and that's why there's more congestion here. And so if you are thinking like that and you're looking at this as a trend line, if you drew this trend line, you might take this failed second entry long. First entry, second entry, low risk, but it's in congestion, so I don't see how you could really take that. Whoops. 5 ticks, but that's why I marked it aggressive. Lime green is aggressive. It is a failed second entry long, but it's just very congestive, so I don't see how you could take that. But anyway, as you can see, a lot of trapped longs, and we get this big move down before prices bounce off of that low that I told you about at the beginning of the video from yesterday afternoon. And then we start moving up. This is how I drew my trend line. Overshoot that leads to a break, but I don't know, maybe some people have it steeper than this, maybe like that, but I drew it off first, these closes. So what do we get here? Failed second entry short. Is that the first entry? Yeah, that's a second entry, failed second entry short. But you know what, if you have your trend line drawn like me, no way you would take that into the top of the trend line. So that's something to think about. Maybe I shouldn't have marked this. It is off the EMA. There is room to the top of the trend channel, but maybe maybe that's not a good move, because I don't see how else you could draw. I guess you could draw it like this. That makes sense. It hits off the top, but still there's not enough room to go long above that. So maybe I should take this down. But anyway, we get a nice move up if you did take it. And then this, I think I should have marked. Oh wait, no, this is a second entry short. I almost marked this as aggressive because I didn't see it was a second entry short. But look, you get first entry, second entry. And it's off the trend line. That's why I like it. Very, very bearish bar off the trend line. You might be a little hesitant. This does look congestive, and it's probably just continuation from here. So, whoops. But anyway, you do get a move down, a nice move down if you did take that. And we break into congestion down here. The only entries, even though this broke into congestion after a downward move, I didn't like any of the shorts in this. So you get all these tests of this level, and this level is actually off of the overnight lows, and I think I might have shown that at the beginning of the video. So I like this entry, plenty of room to scalp out back to the EMA. It's at the bottom of the range. And I like this entry. I don't think I would have had the courage to take this one, because that bar is like almost neutral. Might even be slightly bearish, but it's just so low risk. Let's look at that. That's probably 5 ticks, 6 ticks. This one, 5 ticks. So think about that. And then we have this breakout. Okay, it's a counter trend breakout. We broke into this congestion in a downward move. So then we get a counter trend breakout with a bearish doji off of the trend channel. It's a first entry. That's why I marked it as aggressive, but it bounces right off the trend channel. And look at all that space down to the EMA. So I would definitely have considered that. I don't know if I would have taken it just because this move looks so bullish, but that's probably 6 ticks, 5 ticks, 5 ticks. So low risk. And it's counter trend breakout. Another thing to keep in mind. So we get the break back into congestion, little pullback. Now a with trend break, pullback. If you drew a trend channel off those two highs, I wouldn't be opposed to anyone taking this move. It's a first entry. It kind of looks like a second entry though, off the trend channel. So I would definitely consider that. And you get a massive move down. I think that was like a 15. Yeah, that's a 15-point move down before you get a break higher. So something to think about. You get this. What is this? Second entry short off the EMA, off of that important low from yesterday, but the signal bar is weak, and it's not off the trend line. And it's after this overshoot. So I'm thinking maybe it might lead to a break. And it did lead to a break eventually, but not until over here. I didn't see anything after this. I wouldn't take this because it's going into the bottom of this trend line, and we've had this overshoot. I'm expecting a break, even though we had this nice move down. Let's measure that move from here. Okay, so we don't quite make it down to that. Okay. Anyway, prices start moving up. You get this big move up. First entry, second entry. That bar is not bullish enough to take. If it is, if you do get a bullish bar there, I would take that off the EMA after the first break of this steep trend. Look at perfect price action. You get a break, 1, 2 legs up before, you know, it breaks into congestion. 2 legs up to a new high, congestion, and that's all I saw for today until 12 o'clock. So I hope you guys all had a good week, and I'll be back next week.